Back from the freight train of busyness, this is the reset button for October the 12th, I believe, because we have a new day that we're going up now.
Yes.
We are streaming on Fridays live, and we are up on Sundays with the recorded version. So this will be the reset button for October the 12th, 2014. Hello, everyone. My name is Tanner Cyrax Larson, and with me, back from the busy schedule that he is on, is new Screw Attack lead news editor, Patrick Debaser Breeden.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Or as some people may have noticed when I'm doing social media, I call myself Newsman Patrick now because
Newsman Patrick. That's what I'm going to call you from now on.
It goes with the other stuff with Screw Attack. You know, Nick is Nervous Nick. Ben is Metal Gear Ben. You've got all this going on. Since, you know, I'm now the guy for the news, I might as well be Newsman Patrick.
So with all the nicknames then, would that make Sam Ballas Sam?
You'd have to ask Sam on that one.
Pretty soon here, I guess, then. Let's... Yep, we're back. We're definitely back, folks.
We're back.
Back like a heart attack, or in other cases. Let's see. Why don't we go into the first story before we get ourselves into some trouble right off the bat, shall we? Kingdom Hearts 3 will be developed under a new engine after technical issues with the Luminous engine, and it's now being developed with the Unreal Engine 4, according to Square Enix. KH3 director Tetsuya Nomura told Famitsu that development problems with the Luminous engine was causing development to slow down. The team has since moved over to Unreal Engine 4. According to Nomura, the change to Unreal Engine 4 hasn't caused a setback with the project, as he says, quote, "The development is going steadily and according to the schedule. Due to having switched to Unreal Engine 4 for various reasons, we're having trouble on some parts as far as rendering goes. But with help from the folks at Epic Games, progress is going safely," close quote. The Luminous engine was revealed during E3 2012 as Square's latest in-house engine for graphics capabilities. The company showcased the engine's strength with the Ageni's Philosophy Tech demo. The demo showcased what the company would be capable of producing for future console releases. Kingdom Hearts 3 will be released for the Xbox One and PlayStation 4 sometime in 2015. So, I'm not a developer myself, but I'm sure that the new engine change would cause quite a bit of change in mechanics with the game.
I don't know about mechanics with the game, but I think it would definitely set back the production time, which they're claiming it's not doing. So to me, that's highly interesting to say we had to switch from one engine to another, but everything is perfectly fine. We're definitely on time. Don't worry about anything. And to me, when I read that, I think everybody panic.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time believing that everything is fine with Kingdom Hearts 3 at the moment, especially switching to a new engine. Because with a new engine, you're changing not just a little bit of things, you're changing a lot of things with the game. And yeah. I think this will set it back into maybe 2016 as well. That would be a definite possibility. So don't get your hopes high for 2015 Kingdom Hearts fans. I think that, you know, with the new engine, it's just going to be a massive overhaul. Sometimes for the better. But the thing that confuses me is that Square Enix developed their own engine and they can't really use it due to technical issues. That is just confusing, and I think that they have to rely on a third party's engine, Unreal Engine 4. Don't get me wrong, Unreal Engine 4 is amazing from what I hear, but to just switch over like on a whim like that, it seems really strange.
I had the same idea when it came down to that. You've got an engine that's been out for, you know, pretty much your big engine for your company. It's been out for a few years now, and Kingdom Hearts 3 is a game that, like, everybody is salivating over. They want it now. And your engine can't perform and complete one of your major titles? What does that say about it?
Not only that, but the engine that they specifically built for this game, if I remember correctly.
It's just no. No, that is awful. I mean, I know they had to switch, and of course, you know, media types would snoop around and we would ask and eventually get the answer, but I would try to hide that as much as possible.
Yeah, it would be one of those things that you would just kind of like sweep under the rug, and then when you're getting close to, you know, the release of the game, it's like, oh, we had to switch engines, and then it's not so much of a panic issue. It's just more of like a clarification, like, oh, this game looks different. Oh, that's why. So I don't know what they're thinking of with Kingdom Hearts 3 right now. So there might be new features added. That's a possibility. So with the new engine that they built, it just seemed, from what I understand from this, really, really limited. And that was a huge mistake on their part, if that's true.
If that's true, and that is just bad. Just a terrible thing to begin with. Because, you know, again, when you build an engine like that, it's got to cost a lot of money. It's got to be a very expensive venture. And again, to know that it's not able to complete one of your major titles is just devastating to it. If they ever wanted to, say, license that out to someone else, would you honestly even consider that engine now, knowing what you know about Kingdom Hearts? I know I wouldn't.
Not even. Because if they can't even use it, who can?
Exactly.
Who can use that engine if it's so limited or so buggy or so broken?
They created the thing.
Yeah, and they created the thing. That's the deal. Is like, if you create the engine, shouldn't you be the ones to fix the engine? Shouldn't you know it from front to back?
I mean, yeah, somebody in that company has got to be the expert with it. Or, I mean, at what point do you just admit it's just this entity that's just there, and it does what it wants to do, and no one has any control over it? That is a terrible, terrible thing to admit. It's a terrible argument to have.
Hopefully, this means that it's not an entire waste, and they have some kind of use for it in the future. Because if they just created an engine just to create an engine, that's a waste of money and time.
Just create an engine just to say, this is what we did, guys. Here it is at E3.
It doesn't work properly. It doesn't work properly, and we don't know how to fix it. But it's here.
Tune in 2 years from now so you can see exactly what it can't do. Hooray!
Yeah. Man, oh man, that was just a big blunder and just a dumb move. But let's see what happens 2 years from now, 3 years from now, if they do another game with the engine and they fix the engine. So right now we're just kind of panicking and saying like Kingdom Hearts 3 is just going to change and everything's going to change. Is it going to change for the better? Who knows? So let's move on to some more change with the YouTube side of things, the entertainment side of things. And Pat, this is big news.
I think so.
You have more on this.
Yeah, this is actually, I can't remember which day it went up exactly, but that was the day's feature. That's how much I thought that was some big news there. So we're moving on to from dumb ideas to a smart idea.
Yes.
From a guy that's not always considered a smart guy. So YouTube sensation PewDiePie is interested in starting his own multi-channel network on YouTube, which is always big news. And pretty much the way that story went, in an interview with Swedish publication Icon, PewDiePie outlined the start of his involvement with multi-channel networks. At first, of course, started with Machinima, but he said the company never spoke to him, helped him understand how payment works, or interact with him even after his career took off. So that was a really, really negative moment for him, a negative interaction with his first multi-channel network. And we know that he did eventually leave Machinima and went on to Maker Studio, which he said things really didn't improve all that much there either. And as the article states, he later moved to Maker Studio, an MCN that currently manages 55,000 channels and was bought by Disney for $500 million last March. And by the way, for anybody wondering, that deal calls for an additional $450 million if Maker Studio hits certain marks in terms of performance from Disney.
Correct, yeah.
So with that, of course, he's the company's largest asset with Maker Studio, but there's a bit of a problem there. His contract is over in December, and he said he's not exactly interested in continuing with Maker Studio. And his quote was, "The fact that Disney bought Maker Studios doesn't really change anything for me. If I ask for help, they reply, but that's all the contact we have. We'll see what happens," he said. But one interesting thing he later on said that really caught everybody's attention is the idea that he wants to maybe start his own multi-channel network. And he said, "I'd rather not talk too much about my plans. I'm in touch with a couple of people who I think would be ripe for this. I'm eager to get it all up and running. So far, all networks have been managed in such an incredibly poor way, it's embarrassing, really. I'd like to help other YouTubers." And in terms of that, when you want somebody who's going to have a multi-channel network, who better than the most famous person, the most successful person on YouTube? Like him or not, PewDiePie has hit all the numbers and has done pretty much everything there is to do when it comes to YouTube. Perfect guy to run a multi-channel network, if you ask me.
Absolutely. The guy has YouTube figured out. And people may hate on Felix, like it may not be your type of deal, but there's no doubt that he knows what he's doing, and he does it very well. So I think that this is a very good move for him if, you know, this is what he wants and he doesn't want to be under contract with somebody. Heck, the guy can just run on donations if he wants to. I mean, that would be successful for him because people are more than willing to give him money if that's the case.
Right.
But, you know, I don't have anything personal with the guy. I haven't really checked out any of his stuff, so I'm just going off. I know. I'm going off of what other people are saying, and I haven't checked out the channel myself. I know. But I'm going to have to check it out sometime this weekend just to, you know, see if it's my kind of thing or not. But, you know, millions of people definitely cannot be wrong if, you know, he's the most successful person on YouTube.
He is. So, he absolutely is.
He is.
$4 million a year. That's how much he makes.
That's some serious cash, and he's got the cash to run his own network if he wants to.
Yeah, I mean, he's got the funding. And, I mean, here is a guy that even if you can't stand his content, and I've watched some of it, and I'm just like, I don't get the humor appeal, but I wouldn't say I hate it. I would say I'd rather not watch it and leave it at that. But, you know, here's a guy that's taken that kind of fame, and he's done so much good with it. He's donated to countless charities, done plenty of things like that, but at the same time also has, you know, struggled with some growing pains, such as like when he shut off his YouTube comments on the entire channel, for good as far as we know. So that gained a lot of attention too. Even if you didn't know PewDiePie, you heard the most successful guy, the most watched guy on YouTube just shut off his comments on all videos. That's going to make people go, what? We got to see what's up with this.
So there's no doubt that he's taking, like, everything on YouTube seriously because, you know, that's his main revenue of income, obviously. But I think he also cares so much about the YouTube community, the more so than any other person does. And he is basically Mr. YouTube.
Right. And full disclosure while I'm talking about this here. Full disclosure. Of course, ScrewAttack.com is owned by Fullscreen Inc., which is a multi-channel network for YouTube. Mm-hmm. Some corporation. I am the lead news editor for Screw Attack now, so full disclosure there. When I run my silly little DTT YouTube channel, I am with a multi-channel network that is not Fullscreen. And I can tell you, the interaction I've had with that multi-channel network is right there. I have talked with no one there. I have no intention to because I don't know what they would do for me anyway. So, yeah, I can see where he's coming from. There needs to be more interaction to help people because I couldn't tell you what a multi-channel network does besides just it's there. That's all I can tell you.
That's my kind of understanding too. It's just like, hey, we're here to help you. How are you here to help me? And it's just kind of there, it seems, and there's almost no interaction. But with Fullscreen, I think there's, you know, some wide array of interaction. But with Machinima, it's iffy. Well, iffy at best, possibly, from his standpoint. But this is just our own opinions. It doesn't reflect anything on ScrewAttack.com or Full Screen or anything like that.
Yes,
So
please,
it's
please
just,
don't get that misconstrued.
yeah, exactly. So it's just our own personal opinions with this. So I think that, if he's successful with this, good for him. It's definitely more cash for him, that's for sure. And, it's more exposure for a lot of people.
Yeah, it's more exposure for a ton of people. And I'm sorry to everybody who's currently in the live chat. I reset it so I could post something to you. But there were quite a few guys in our chat that were saying they'd work for PewDiePie simply for the exposure. And honestly, who wouldn't? Why would you not want to get that exposure?
You would have to be foolish to turn down PewDiePie at this point.
Right. I mean, the guy is the most watched person in YouTube history. Why would you not want a slice of that? Or, I mean, if anything, if he does like a monthly video newsletter to everybody subscribed or part of his multi-channel network or anything like that, wouldn't you want just one candid moment from him to understand how he does it? I mean, I would.
Absolutely. And just to pick his brain a little bit, and if you can even get a one-on-one conversation with him or an email conversation with him, that would be probably more interaction than anybody has gotten with Machinima, I would say.
Yeah, Machinima, I don't know what's gotten into them, but personally I don't think I would want to do anything with Machinima. I'm perfectly fine with my multi-channel network that does absolutely nothing for me while I upload absolutely no videos.
All right, I think we can say good luck to Felix, and we wish him the best of luck in his endeavors with that, because I think he'll be successful on either regard. Let's move on to some disappointing news, actually, with the Xbox One, as the Xbox One sales in Japan are disappointing to Microsoft executives. Microsoft's console brand has always struggled to find solid ground in Japan. Both the original Xbox and Xbox 360 trailed behind Sony and Nintendo consoles, and this generation appears to be no different. While the Xbox 360 sold over 60,000 units in the first 2 days of its Japanese release, which sounded promising, the Xbox One struggled to sell 30,000 units during its first release month. The Xbox Japan head Takeshi Sensue said the company wasn't satisfied with the sales numbers, saying, "It's not as though we're satisfied with the current sales state. We hope to continue through taking user feedback and improving and offering content that everyone can enjoy," as Sensui told Famitsu. Sensui said the company must continue reaching out to consumers and spreading the Xbox One message. He also said the company wants to plan for long-term campaigning, as he says, quote, "We are also aware that reaching out to let more people know about the Xbox One is vital. However, the current console generation has become very long. We hope to lay out a long-term vision and focus on publicity for our console. Taking the first step was very important, and as for now, how to permeate the market from here. We hope to continue to do our best," close quote. Xbox executive Phil Spencer said the company would continue working hard to brand the Xbox One in Japan. He also said both Japan and Japanese game creators are important to the Xbox brand. Xbox also recently announced that China's Xbox One launch has been delayed. The company said the launch was delayed to give a bit more time to deliver the best experiences possible for our fans in China, close quote. Or no, there was no quote there, so there's no close quote. Anyway, this is a slow start for Xbox One in Asia, and it's another slow start for Microsoft in Asia, a market they've been trying to capture, but it is to almost seemingly no success.
Yeah, it's shocking just how little ground they're gaining in Japan. And like it was mentioned in the comments section, consoles in general are struggling a bit in Japan. But, Xbox One is especially, leading the charge when it comes to struggling machines.
Yeah.
And it's shocking because I thought, Xbox 360, even though it wasn't, a huge hit in Japan, was still, seen as a superior system to the Xbox, the original. So I thought, naturally things would climb up a bit. That's not happening at all. Xbox One is crashing and burning in Japan with great ease.
And that's disappointing to me because I thought, with the early success that they would possibly have in China, being the first ones there, it was, to me, expected like, oh, okay, now there's going to be some, ground gaining for Microsoft in Asia. And now that they come out with the delay, almost all hope of that is gone because there is a small, very small market in Japan for Microsoft with their Xbox brand, and it seems like they already captured it way back when they had the Xbox 360 launch, and that was as big as it's going to get. Any Xbox fans in Asia are there and they're solid, and there's probably going to be no growth unless they do something major for that market. Like North America, Europe, Australia, that's locked down for Xbox. They can compete. They cannot, at this point, they cannot compete in Asia with Sony or Nintendo.
No. And I think it's largely going to have to do with software, too. Can you think of one game that the Japanese market would really want on Xbox One?
The best guess I would have would be Dead Rising 3, but other than that, there's nothing I can think of, really. No exclusives.
Probably it. There's just not enough to really convince people that Xbox One is the place to be. I mean, handhelds are the really big thing in Japan. And, 3DS is over there kicking ass, so who cares about
right
Xbox
there
One?
with it, too.
Yeah, I mean, they're both doing fine there, so that's the big thing. Consoles aren't really as huge there as they are here, and, Microsoft isn't bringing its A game. I don't, really see it as a huge shock. I thought we'd get a little more ground than this, but I guess not. And the funny thing about this article is when that was put out there, you would be shocked how many people were angry because we put that up, and they were just like, well, what did you expect? This is
There
news?
was actually some huge expectation from them in the Asian market this go-around.
Yeah, I mean, there was some expectation. Plus, of course, you want to know the numbers for Xbox One, so you can say, hey, is the system I laid hundreds of dollars down on, is it doing well in the global market? Is it going to be receding? Is everything okay? The answer is, not really.
Not really. But it just seems to be in that one territory that they're having a hard time, gaining fans over from Sony or Nintendo or any other company, really. I think that, it just seems like they're not doing any promotion. Well, they're not doing any promotion. They are doing some promotion, but not as much as, Sony or Nintendo have in the past with the Asian market. And it's just kind of like setting the system there. It's like, hey, we have this if you want it, that's fine. And then they're paying more attention to, their favorite children, like North America, Europe, Australia, and that's it. They're hardly paying any attention to Asia. And I think if they really wanted to compete in the Asian market, release a handheld. Release a handheld, test it in the Asian market, make it an Asian exclusive, and if it sells well over there, or if there's good feedback, bring it to North America, bring it to Europe, bring it to Australia then next. Just have a test market with a handheld.
I really don't see
and if they have the exclusive handheld in Asia, I think it would sell well there because it's like, this is yours and yours alone.
Probably, but I don't think it would end up happening because of just how unpopular the Xbox brand is at Microsoft. Keep in mind, the current CEO was talking about splitting Xbox off as a separate company to, shed it off of Microsoft. Meanwhile, shareholders are wanting the Xbox brand to be sold entirely. This is not a popular brand with the people who own it right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And why they're not pushing it right now when they have pushed it like huge in the past is it's confusing to me, really. I have nothing like really to say is like why is this brand slowly, I don't want to say dying, but I can't think of another word.
It's, I wouldn't say it's you know, in the Western market it's not dying. It's
No, not
maybe
by any
straggling a
means of the
bit.
stretch of the imagination. It's not dying in the Western market. It's doing fairly well, if not outstanding in the Western market, competing with Sony. But it just seems like in the Asian market, it's
Well, yeah, in the Asian market it's dying. And the big question I would ask when it comes to this, considering, you know, all three major consoles are available all across the globe, how successful can you be when you only have half of it?
that's very true. That's very true. I don't know the answer to that question, quite frankly. But I do know that this is a huge opportunity for the other two companies to, test their own ground in, let's say, home territory.
Yeah, I think so. So, when it comes to Xbox One, if we were to turn that thing around in Japan and make it viable, what would we need to do?
Make RPGs, I would say. I know that sounds stereotypical, but that's the thing over there is, RPGs and, story-driven games.
It maybe sounds a little stereotypical, but I think that's pretty much the truth. If you really want to see it take off and have any type of, real chance of survival there, you need something like that. I mean, I can't remember the name of it, but 360 was bundled with a major RPG over there. I can't remember
Blue
which
Dragon?
RPG. Maybe it was that one. But that was the bundle that kept 360 afloat when everybody was like, nope, it's dead in the water. There's
It
no
may have
saving
also
it.
been bundled with Final Fantasy XI. I'm not quite sure on that
No,
one.
it wasn't that one. It wasn't
Okay.
a Square Enix game.
But I
But
mean, if they make it an exclusive for like, I know that's kind of hard to say because Square Enix is its own company. But let's say Santa Monica Studios creates an RPG. Do you think it would sell well over there?
I'm not so sure.
Or no, not Santa
Initially,
Monica Studios. That's Sony. That's my fault. Well, I mean, let's say micro or like 343 Industries. I know that's Halo only, but let's say they make something like a Halo RPG or something like that, or something that's turn-based. What if they
yeah.
make another Halo Wars?
Yeah, I mean, like a Western RPG is what you're saying. So, would that help it? Initially, I doubt it. Because they'd be skeptical. It's foreign. They would be like, not so sure. You'd probably have to give it about a month or so for them to really crack into it and test the mechanics and check it out and see what they can do with it. Because they're a lot more meticulous when it comes to their games than we are. And when they realize what they're capable of doing with it, what can be done with the game, they would probably dive into it if it's good.
So I think that's all we got to say for the Xbox brand in Asia right now. So let's see where we go 6 months from now,
Yeah.
because the future isn't that great and it seems pretty fast.
Oh yeah, it's quick in the console market. I mean, think about it. Here very soon, Xbox One and PlayStation 4 will be a year old. Wii U will be 2 years old.
Yep,
Crazy, but that's
it's
the kind of
crazy
speed
to
we
think
have.
because it just seems like it just started.
Yeah, we're well into this thing, and it still feels like the early stages.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so
So-
let's move on here.
Speaking of Wii U,
Okay, we do have some Wii U stuff, but you might not like it if you're a fan. Might not like it at all. It's going to be our final story for the night, and it is Ubisoft saying that Assassin's Creed Unity would not be possible on Wii U. Just wouldn't work, they say. So this comes from That Punk Adam. Adam, I love you, man. And from the article, from the game's reveal, audiences know Assassin's Creed Unity will be bringing its unique blend of combat and history to the new-gen consoles on November 11th. Yet, that new-gen phrase often leaves out Nintendo's latest platform, as it does. A platform Unity's creative director, Alex Amancio, said, it really couldn't run the game when discussing Unity leaving the Wii U behind. Just couldn't, he says. The Wii U, though, smoothly ran Assassin's Creed 3 and last year's Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. However, those games appeared on the last-gen consoles, with Amancio going on to saying how Unity will be taking full advantage of the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC's hardware to craft more realistic crowds in an open-world Paris. Although unfortunate for Wii U owners, Amancio assured fans that Ubisoft will refuse to opt for a lesser port, something Nintendo fans know all too well. We can remember that from the Wii days.
Yep.
And he says, quote, I mean this is why we from the beginning, this was going to be an only title. Adam, clean that up a bit. Because the crowds aren't aesthetic. They actually impact. I don't think that would be fair to fans to sell the same game but with different levels of experience. We never load Paris. It wouldn't be possible. In our minds, we'd be cheating fans by providing a lesser version of the same game. So, it's interesting that we're talking about this today and how it wouldn't show up on Wii U. Or couldn't show up on Wii U, rather. Because another thing that was put out recently in terms of Screw Attack news was how, well, actually, I think at this recording it hasn't come out yet, but it will soon. It's about how Assassin's Creed Unity is going to be locked at 30 frames per second at 900p for both Xbox One and PlayStation 4. And they originally said that those consoles were bottlenecking what they wanted the AC Unity to do. So my question here, because we know that Wii U is a little less powerful than those two, and just to let you know, Ubisoft did backtrack on those quotes and say they were misquoted, misunderstood. But if those two are bottlenecking Assassin's Creed Unity, is it fair to say that maybe he's telling the truth about Wii U?
I don't know. Maybe, possibly, but a lot of developers out of the get-go said that the Wii U was a powerhouse. Possibly even, like, well, out of the gate, it wouldn't be, better than the PS4 or Xbox One because they didn't know. But they're claiming that the system was a powerhouse. But now they're saying, like, oh, it can't run it. It can't run it. No way whatsoever. I don't know about that. I don't think this is the truth. I don't buy it a bit because Assassin's Creed Black Flag and Assassin's Creed 3 ran pretty smoothly, as you mentioned, on the Wii U. So I don't know how this would be any different. I really don't.
Their claim is the difference is it needs more CPU power because of character rendering. They're trying to make sure that, like, thousands of people or thousands of NPCs could show up on the screen at one time. So that's the major claim with their being bottlenecked because these consoles can't handle what they were wanting to do.
Why would you need thousands of NPCs on the screen?
They claim they're wanting to make Paris as closely, resembling actual Paris as possible during that time.
Okay. I mean,
that's the claim.
That's the claim. I mean, that would be slightly revolutionary at the point where you load 1,000 NPCs on a screen or thousands of NPCs on one screen.
Thousands of NPCs that would each be doing their own individual things.
That would be astounding to see. That would be Crytek-like. So to see that, or to possibly see that, let's say, that would create a lot of lag if you don't have a lot of RAM also.
I think so. Honestly, even if that were the issue, and they're like, well, we can't render all these guys in Paris like we want to, why can't you tone it down? Why can't you tone it down? Because
just make it like hundreds even. We wouldn't be able to tell the difference.
I mean, would we seriously just be like, oh man, I'm missing 700 people on the screen. This game sucks. Please. No. Nobody would say that. Nobody would say that.
Would you stop your game and be like, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10? Would you count each one to say like, okay, there are thousands of NPCs on the screen?
Just like
I don't think anybody would really do that, and if they are just they're taking it way too far.
Yeah, exactly. And just like originally when Capcom first announced Dead Rising, they're like, you're going to have hundreds of zombies on the screen at one time. Did anybody seriously pause their 360 when they first got in? Like, okay, 1 zombie, 2 zombie, 3 zombie. Nobody did that. Nobody cared.
Did that. They're just like, okay, here's a bunch of zombies. Let's kill them.
Yeah, that's pretty much the way that went. Nobody said, well, I'm missing 8 zombies. I demand a refund.
I'm missing at least 5 zombies on the screen. What gives, Capcom?
Yeah, no
Oh my
one
goodness.
cares. That's the best thing I can tell Ubisoft when it comes down to it. No one cares. And that's the truth. No one cares. And along with Ubisoft, like we're talking about with the 60 frames per second that was mentioned in chat, among other things, when Ubisoft is saying we wouldn't do anything to cause detriment to a game or cause, the overall experience to diminish or anything like that, I got one thing to say to that. Watch Dogs for PC. Drop
That's
mic.
true. That is very, very true. But, it's also the fact that if you do manage to get thousands of NPCs on one screen, somehow lag-free, how does that improve the gameplay? How does that honestly improve the gameplay?
It creates more immersion. I'll admit that. I mean, you feel like you're there a little more with that.
Yeah,
many
just
people,
a little bit more. But if the game somehow sucks, like what does that do? It's like, oh boy, I'm sure having fun with these NPCs that I really can't interact with personally.
These NPCs I can't talk to, they're wonderful. I mean, what if it renders all of them and 50 of them are jackasses? Then what do? They're people you just can't stand. You're gonna stab anyway. You know?
That's true. And honestly, I don't see, and he's saying that it's bottlenecking, which in my mind reads like, okay, there's going to be thousands of NPCs on the screen, but you're going to have a hard time playing it smoothly. That's how I view it.
That's pretty much what they're saying too. Because of this hardware, they're being bottlenecked. They're not able to do their full vision of all these thousands of NPCs on the screen at one time, so they're having to tone it down. But then, in squarely Ubisoft manner, they flipped it around when they were in PR mode, backpedaling from the bottleneck comment, saying that it was a technical wonder that they were able to put the game in 900p 30 frames per second on the Xbox One and PlayStation 4. Saying that, these systems have only been out for a year now, and look at the way we were able to perfect them and get them to this and make such a wonderful game. It's just, what are they doing? I don't understand if this is performance art or they just don't understand technology.
I honestly don't know if they understand how technology works. I mean, that's great if you can get 1,000 NPCs on the screen, but it doesn't mean diddly squat if, oh my goodness. It doesn't mean anything if we can't, play the game.
Yeah, it's completely useless overall. They're talking about gameplay and everything, and I'll be honest, I'm not buying Assassin's Creed Unity. I'm not buying anything Ubisoft, especially Assassin's Creed, because there's a new one out every year, and I'm really not enticed.
Aren't there supposed to be 4 either this year or next year?
There's 2 this year.
So there's going to be a 3rd one, and then a 4th one possibly down the line. This is oversaturation for Assassin's Creed, in my opinion. And that's, a franchise killer.
Yeah, they're actually Unity is coming out for the current gens. Assassin's Creed Rogue is coming out for the last gens, and it's just
it's too much. It's too much.
It is just,
and we think
everywhere.
We thought Call of Duty was like too many games. It's like, okay, 1 a year. Slow down, guys. Someone tell Ubisoft to slow down. I mean, Call of Duty is tame compared to them.
Tell them to bring it down. Bring it down.
Bring it down. And we'll bring it down this episode because this has been the reset button for October the 12th, 2014. We will be back next week, Fridays now, on stream on twitch.tv/debaserdtt and on recordings put up on screwattack.com every Sunday now. So, for now, my name is Tanner Cyrax Larson. Pat, do you have any last words?
No real last words, but you'll be hearing this on Sunday, meaning that you'll have plenty of stuff to check out. I've got a Sunday Smash planned for you, and Mortal Sunday continues. So we'll see you then, guys. Take care.
We'll see you then.